I live pretty close by to Don Bosco and to the school that I am attached with, Shishuvan. So Shishuvan was just being set, and this is in 2000 rather. So they had just started. I just went in and said, in case you need any help, you can, I can come and help out since it's a new school. And so I started. Kavita was there, the founder of Adhyayan, and she was the one who was actually heading that school and setting it up. So she interviewed and she said, come in as an observer. And I don't know when I got sucked in. Then they offered me the head of department, primary department, because we began with pre-section, preschool section, and standard 1. Took it on with a lot of with a lot of question marks, because I said, I have nothing in education, how do I do it? So he said, you have management, you'll pick up education with the students. And I actually studied with the students of the first batch, because we had the luxury of adding 1 class at a time. So this was the advantage of being a part of a new setup, wherein we slowly built up the school. It took us 10 years to build it from standard 1 to standard 10. And I was, of course, a part of it where even I grew with the school. So I did my B.Ed, took up a lot of teacher training courses like the Waldorf, the Steiner teacher training courses, lots of workshops, and there we were. Lots of ups and downs. Initially, for the couple of few years, I remember that if there was any major meetings, when you have whole group parent meetings or teacher meetings, initial years I would find it very difficult to even open my mouth, because I was very scared that if somebody asked me a question for which I didn't have a response, how would it look? Of course, it was a new school, lots of challenges, but I had the fortunate, I was fortunate enough to have Kavita as the leader then and as my mentor. So I spent the initial years just observing, grasping, and absorbing. That's all I did in the initial 4 years, I think. And that's when we completed the primary, and the next 4 years I spent only in actually nurturing the primary, being with the primary, making sure that we've put in all the best systems and the best practices. So this journey was when you set up a school, and a school such as Shishuvan, which is a school with a slight difference because it isn't the mainstream school. So we had a challenge to face with everything that we did, and I think that's what I think Kavita is all about. So she doesn't do anything in the straight manner. We introduced unisex khadi uniform. We don't have textbooks. We don't have examinations till standard 7, which I'm talking about was 13 years ago. Now the government also says you shouldn't have exams. But you're talking about times when all of this was the acceptable way of education. We had curriculum-based annual days. We had educational fairs, not fun fairs. We had outstation field visits where our children would travel by second class only. So we've had everything that we introduced in the school was full of challenges. At some point, because we used to also talk to the parents, I used to sometimes think, Gaya, this is the last, I think we'll have to change it. We'll have to change the strategy. We'll have to change our stand. Each time that we were introducing or, we were talking to the parents about the idea of why this is being done, this is what my feeling was, that I don't think this is going to last. This is how it, it's just going to fall apart because of the resistance that one was facing. Of course, much later did I realize that actually that's a part of the democratic process. If you involve people, because that's what we did, we used to involve the parents and the students into anything that we started or initiated. What would happen was every time we did that, the forum was open for everyone, and which means you are asking for feedback, you better have the courage then to listen to that feedback. And so that process is really, really tough. because it meant you were actually trying to change mindsets and attitudes, and that wasn't easy, and that isn't easy, because I won't say that those challenges are over and out. They still continue, and I think they're always there for lifetime. And as Father Crispino said, I always thought that, okay, I was a very, an MBA with all tasks put in. You tick mark at the end of the day and you say, yes, I've done my job. So I was that kind of a person with timetables and everything. But it took me a while to realize that, boss, this is not what is going to happen. You are never going to feel that you finished something and now you can sit back and say, I finished my job. So this is what I think I've learned with this school over the years. And then I think after 8 years of heading the primary, I took over as the principal. And that again was a different thing, because when you take over as a principal, you're not supposed to think of only like one department and one section. You have to think about the whole school. So I thought my, organization and skills were really good, and that that will work really well, because you're taught about, identifying goals and then planning in detail, identifying resources and all of those things. So I used to follow that, but it was an ordeal because you had different school groups in the school, right? You had to take care of all the departments, all the, you have a counselor's department, the remedial department, so many that it was very difficult, because if you want to make sure that your school is running well, but if you want to make sure that your school runs well and the graph is moving up, because that's what you're interested in quality education, then you have to make sure that all your school groups are also engaged and are moving ahead in that same, in tandem. And I found that I was really, really struggling with that until, just like Father Crispino, I was introduced to, all the key performance areas through Adhyayan. We did our school evaluation and self-review and evaluation, and that actually struck the chord. You're always worrying as a head, because there's nothing to fall back on. There's nothing where, you feel reassured, or somebody tells you, yes, don't worry, you're on the right track, because you don't have any established way of dealing. So this, I think, really helped out, where we could streamline everything, because the process involved that we get all the stakeholders together. So in these 13 years, if I had to actually pen down, we had loads of challenges and a lot of unresolved issues. After the review, we were able to actually handle those unresolved issues. The entire team, which is the parent team, the student team, the teachers, and the management, became one, and we were able to take on those. So that really, really gave me a lot of confidence. And one of the, since we don't have any training degree for us, for principals, there are no courses, right? For us, at least you have a B.Ed to do when you become a teacher, but when you become a principal, you have nothing that you can go to. So I attended with Father Joseph. We went for the IIM Calcutta 1-week course for ICSE principals, and I think that again kind of reassured that we're on the right track. So I just thought I'd take this opportunity to actually share, these challenges that I'm talking to you about. I could take you through a short case study of one of these challenges that we are facing in our school. And you want to just put that on? That's we have curriculum-based annual days at Shishuvan. So the curriculum-based annual days, I think for some reason this isn't working. So not that there's much there, just put in main pointers there. This was a transition from what you and me and the parents and teachers at Shishuvan were used to. Our annual days were typical annual days. They were not curriculum-based annual days. So we had, it was a transition for us to make sure that it was an extension of the classroom learning. Just as project days and fairs and field visits are an extension of what you do in the classroom. The ethos was that the text that you learn in the class should become a part of the annual day. And in the annual day, we really didn't want any parents or management to give speeches. So imagine that was the vision of a curriculum-based annual day. The ethos that was laid down was that you need to introduce the text in the class earlier. Bollywood was banned. Bollywood was banned not because that Bollywood is banned, but that's the most accessible, very easily accessible music and movements and, you know, all of that, very easily accessible. So you take what's easily available and you leave out the whole other gamut of resources that are available, and especially in India. Even not just India, but you could, you know, get music from all over the world. It was compulsory for all students to be on stage. In the primary years, the children should be rotated through all the forms of music, dance, drama, and every child to play a meaningful role on the stage. They shouldn't be mere lampposts and trees. So you had to make sure that, you know, they had enough time on stage. And no creating star performers, because we know that if you stage a play, you always have central 2 or 3 characters, and then those, you know, people identify children with those characters, and you always have star performers, and then once they are established, then it's very easy to keep, you know, putting them in place each year, because then, you know, they've proved themselves. And students, by the time they reach the senior school, they need to manage the backstage, the lights, and assist in direction. So this was the vision and the ethos guiding the curriculum-based annual day. Now, when, it's okay, you can keep it there itself. Now, when we had to actually introduce this, and I said it's all about changing mindsets and attitudes. How do you do that? And what happens when you do that? So when we spoke about this at the start, with everybody, and as we went along the way, the teachers ripped us apart. The teachers said that it's too difficult. How do you expect us to get music? It's so difficult to find music from, you know, Bollywood is really easy. Why are you doing this? When it comes to auditioning and choosing roles, but this child is really apt for it. You know, let's take this child. You're asking me to take these children for dance? My dance teacher would say, these children can't dance. This group of children cannot sing. I mean, why are we insisting that we should be doing this? You know? So this was the response that we got time and again. And imagine 80 students on stage. Now it's 108, okay? When we started, we were 80 students. Getting all the children on board, this is really difficult. Okay, and changing characters intermittently also. Not only the teachers found this difficult, even the management and the parents didn't really, they weren't very kind. Okay, so we received a lot of flack there also. And they said, your plays, we can't understand, the language is too high for us. And what is this? You know, if you have one central character, so if you're staging Cinderella, for example, you have many girls who are playing Cinderella, and so one after the other, after every few scenes, you change Cinderella. You have a different Cinderella. They said, we can't understand this. To the extent we were told that, listen, this is not entertainment value. We don't come here to watch art movies. So this is what happened when all of this was being introduced. And the manner of introduction wasn't that this is what you need to do. There was why we should, you know, we could do this. How is it going to impact the learning process? That was the guide. That was the background at all points in time. So but this is the feedback, because who's actually doing it? The teachers are doing it. Who's watching it? The parents are watching it. And of course, the students are the ones who are staging it, but you know that the students are, they will definitely, if you take them through the process, they enjoy themselves everywhere. So what do you do as leaders? At this point, as a leader, I think what we really did, and if we didn't do, we didn't succeed in many of these areas, because this is not something that's happened overnight, right? It's taken years for us to even, and the process is still on. We actually had to roll up our sleeves and said, okay, you can't find music, come. Let's sit together and let's look for music. We can't, these children can't really dance. That's the challenge, to ensure that, at least you can get somebody who doesn't get some sense of rhythm in children who really can't dance or who have 2 left feet. So we had to really, all of us in the leadership team, roll up your sleeves and be a hands-on, which I'm sure most of us are. And there is no backing out of that. We cannot, at any point in time, be, saying that this is your job, you do it. If you can't find music, what can I do? I'm really bad at music, okay? I don't have that kind of an exposure. But it didn't matter, because what was important was the process. You sit with the teacher, and it comes from the teacher. It came in from that teacher team, because they were better than what I was. And then everybody started sharing in and pulling in resources, and it just works out fine at that point in time. So there's just, one had to take it on and work alongside with the teachers at that point in time. So the whole idea was that you have to be persistent. Couldn't give up. You had to strategize at each point in time, because it was, one had to always keep our eyes and ears open to what everybody was saying, and then to plan, to strategize, and then move ahead with it. Listening to, I think, we really listened to what all our stakeholders had to say. As I told you, we were told that, listen, we have not come here to watch art movies. We need more entertainment value. We can't understand what your plays are saying. So we said, okay, we got, the synopsis a little bit in detail. We put those scripts in place. We put them into flyers. The flyers were on the chairs, that the parents would occupy. Slowly, as the as the teachers started using the text for the annual days, the books were available for the parents. We called the parents for meetings before the annual day and did give them a peek into what the storyline is. The lyrics of the songs were flashed while they were being sung, or staged, so that everybody could understand what it was and also sing along and have fun. So I had to listen to what people were saying, because I don't think anybody is just saying for the heck of it. There is definitely value in in the feedback that we are receiving. So it, as I put in there, you have to be persistent, but yes, we had to listen as well, and then listen and strategize, because I don't think it's really smart to keep doing the same thing if it's not working well. And sometimes I know that I have got caught in that very often. It becomes, that's my only way of thinking. And so I just keep saying the same thing, keeps doing the same thing. And that's not smartness. So I think a little bit of smartness these are my lessons that I learned along the way, of strategizing, not losing any opportunity to have a dialogue or a conversation around what we are doing. So for the annual day also, we had lots of meetings, forums with the parents, because all of us have parent-teacher meetings. We made sure that we also have, when we start the process of the annual day, we reiterate on the kind of non-negotiables that we are talking about. What is the process? Get all the students on board, have a conversation with everybody. So that's the kind of, I think, process we followed. And at every point in time, everyone was involved in the decision making. And definitely the last one I would say was trust, because trusting the process is the most important. Trust the people, definitely, your students, your teachers, your parents, but definitely the process. Because at times you don't know what's going to happen. times you just I wanted to give up, saying it's too difficult. And at times you just don't know where it's going to head to. But if you have been persistent, if you're listening, if you're patient, and you don't expect that this is going to be an overnight change, then I think you're kind of on the right track, and that's what's happened in this case. Because if you ask me how much time we've taken to do this, can't answer. Because there's just no answer about saying that it's taken 10 years or 12 years or 13 years. It's been 13 years and the process is still on. But I can say that now the annual days that we have, they're definitely, most of them are text, which are converted into plays. The text, that is the literature book that the children you read. And that is planned and introduced at the start of the year. Every class has a literature book. So the teachers do choose the book and introduce it to the children at the start of the year. In certain cases, again, not all, even our resource people and directors are, we contact them at the start of the year and they become a part of the teaching and learning process. So they come and actually have, theater games and use theater through workshop mode to get the children to, look at issues or deep underlying issues in those plays. And that's how you link it to your teaching and learning. The characters are now interchanged very, very easily, and there's absolutely no problem, and our audience has accepted that very well. So now we get good feedback and positive feedback even from parents, because I think we did work hard to create that maturity in the audience also to be able to sit through the annual days, which were really, really boring according to them, because that's not what all of us were used to. And these are just a few photographs that we've put in, but this still continues. So this is just a small peek into one of the struggles that we had or are having or is continuing. But definitely these are the challenges that we faced while doing this. And thank you very much. I think I'm going to end here.